news last month that Thailand is committing $1.2 billion to bringing F1 to Bangkok. And I want to give some thoughts on this. A month and a half after the news came out, admittedly, but I want to talk about it nonetheless. As always, like and subscribe if you go on to enjoy the video, and let me know your thoughts of the potential of an F1 race in Thailand. First off, here is what the article for Autosport says about it. It says that Thailand has moved another step closer to bringing a Formula 1 Grand Prix to the streets of Bangkok after its cabinet approved a bid during a meeting on Tuesday. The plan would see F1 welcome Thailand onto its calendar from 2028 on an initial 5-year contract, with $1.2 billion now agreed to be set aside for the bid. $1.2 billion is a lot of money. You could, if my calculations are correct, buy over 2.5 million Nintendo Switch 2s for that much money. And we all know that F1 loves money. Cash is king in this sport, as Lewis Hamilton once famously said about 5 years ago. So surely that 1.2 billion number will help in tempting them to make it happen and bring Thailand onto the F1 calendar for 2028. Of course, another thing that's going to help maybe push it along is the fact that Formula 1 does have a Thai driver on the grid, Alex Albon. I think at least that will be a bit of a plus point in trying to make this happen. Said Thai driver has spoken about this topic, and here's what Albon said on it when he visited Thailand earlier in the year. It's moving along. Obviously nothing's finalized, but it's really good to see the commitment from Thailand. They're taking it very seriously, and I think that as a product, they have a very strong product. If you see the project, if you see how serious they are, I've seen a generic look at what they're trying to do with it, and yeah, it looks good. I don't think I can say much more, so I'd rather stay quiet on it. Again, I don't want to say too much, but I'm following a lot of interests of the event. It's understandably doesn't want to say too much, as nothing official is confirmed yet. After all, 2028 is still quite a ways away. I mean, I can't help but feel like if it does happen, if the Thai Grand Prix does come on for 2028, then the earliest we'd hear anything official is like, well, maybe next year, but what do I know? My thoughts on this though, well, I can't help but feel like of all the kind of word we've heard of all this country might join the calendar, this country wants to come back, I feel like this one could actually happen. And there's pros and cons to a new country / track joining the calendar. On the one hand, it's always nice to see new countries getting involved in F1, ones wanting to come back, to see F1 visiting new countries and giving the fans, those countries, that region, a better chance to see an F1 race on their home soil. It shows the big growth that F1 has had the last few years, that there's Thailand looking for a race and committing so much money to it. You know, we've also had South Africa maybe looking to come back onto the calendar a couple of years ago. I remember hearing something like earlier in the year or last year or something about Rwanda, but either way. On the other hand, I think that it needs to be good. The event, it needs to be good. With the amount of money they seem to be putting into this, it could be, providing it happens. But just because you spend a lot of money doesn't automatically equal we'll get a track that provides good racing. To me, before they're saying bringing F1 to Bangkok, Bangkok is a city, bringing it to the streets of Bangkok, it sounds like it's going to be a street track. Which honestly, that could go one of two ways. It could either be a borefest or actually good and potentially provide carnage. It is slightly annoying to see that every track that now joins the calendar or could join the calendar is seemingly a street track. Seems like F1 is going in the opposite direction to Formula E in terms of the tracks they're racing on, but wow. A question would be with this though, where does this race go on the calendar? Do they put it at the start of the year with Australia and China and Japan? Or do they stick it with Singapore later in the year? Well, personally, from a kind of geographical point of view, calendar point of view, I think sticking it with Singapore could make more sense because they're both in that same region of the world as Southeast Asia. But weather-wise, I don't know. According to my research, that kind of September, October time is the wettest part of the year in Bangkok. And while we all love a good wet weather race, who all cares if F1 will want to race in Thailand at that time? They may prefer to go earlier in the year. I've never been anywhere near that region of the world though. I've only ever traveled in Northern Europe. So anybody who has been doing that far, please chime in. It would be good to see it come onto the calendar though. Even if just to see if we can get another Asian race on the calendar that can actually stand the test of time like Singapore has. For the sake of the Thai Grand Prix, hopefully it would be able to stand the test of time and wouldn't end up going the same route as India or South Korea did. I actually wonder if those two races came back onto the calendar now, would they do better than they did before? I mean, surely the audience for F1 in them countries is bigger now now than it was 15 years ago, no? Anybody from those parts of the world or what Keynesmere is me, please chime in. Of course, this is all coming in as we have the likes of the traditional permanent European tracks dropping off the calendar like Imola, Barcelona and Zandvoort. And we have the much loved Spa-Francorchamps heading towards a year-on-year off schedule, which is, yeah, it's annoying. It's nice to get new venues, but it sucks that we have to lose others to make it happen. But I suppose that's how it has to be when the calendar is as chock-a-block as it is and there's so much interest in hosting a Formula 1 race. There are a few tracks on the calendar I think we could do without, but, well, I don't see Miami, Abu Dhabi or Qatar going anywhere. What do you think of all this though? Would you like to see a Thailand joining the F1 calendar? And out of curiosity, what tracks on the current schedule would you remove from the calendar if you were given the option to? And if you could add a race in any country that is not currently on the calendar, what country would you pick? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you all so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.